What's up, guys? It's Cuffer here. I want to make a tier list for multi-classing. I previously had put a tier list together minus the additional druid perks when multi-classing originally came out, and I made just a cleric video. But today, I think I just want to go through all the perks, try to rate them how I think that they'll do overall as average with all the classes, as well as which perks I think will be good for a specific class. I'll try to mention that. I think I'll also try to give a brief description of what the perk or skill does. And forgive me if I get something wrong, like Arcane Mastery versus Arcane Feedback. But, for example, I'll just say something like Campfire Mastery, D tier, no one ever takes this shit, it's not good, you know. All it does is it gives you a campfire and lets you set a campfire up faster, and I believe it makes you makes the campfire longer. Is that true though? Increases the duration of 1.3. Oh, but it doesn't give you a campfire when you start, so that's, you can just grab that from the squire, I guess. Alright, so just like that, I'm going to try to go through all the perks. I did not add the skills because that would be a fuck ton. But if this video does well, I'll make another, you know, and we can see how it does. I guess before we get into this, since this is my first video, a little background. I have just over 3,800 hours in the game. I mostly have played Cleric, but I'm also very into Bard, and then of course you got your rogues here and there. But I would say I have pretty good game sense. I've played trios with some big streamers. Small streamers, I guess, to be honest, but some other content creators, and I've played a lot of solos too, so I feel like I have a pretty good experience with what I'm going to be talking about today. Alright, and now to finally get into it. Ambush S tier, or Ambush A tier, with the recent nerfs to Rogue, it's not nearly as good, going from 50% to 25%. Basically completely useless for wizards and warlocks, unless the warlock is going a melee build. But there's one common thing to do, at least with Bard, is to use the Song of Invisibility. What is it called? Bard. Bard. Oh my god. What's the song called? So yeah, I don't even use it. Song of Shadow. Most likely, you know, because if you use Song of Shadow on Wizard in trios and stuff like that, you can hold magic missiles, stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, Ambush is really only going to be used by, you know, also, it doesn't work on ranged weapons, so no windlass crossbows, no bows. It's basically only going to be for barbarians, heavy damage, melee damage warlocks, and probably fighters. Fighters might use it. But other than that, I can't see Ambush being super above the other perks. Jokester, I'm going to put it in C tier. It doesn't stack with other teammates. You're not going to be taking this over something. One teammate can take Jokester, and that's it. And it's a +2 all. So across 3 teammates, you're getting 21 stats, which is pretty good all in all, because it's +7 stats for each character. But a +2 all is not going to be as helpful as certain other perks, but I'll put it in B, because at the end of the day, wherever Storyteller is, I'm probably going to put that in C, unless you're a team of full wizards, you know. So each of these has its own uses, I guess, whether it's this or Storyteller. I believe this is adrenaline. It's either a warlock or fighter. What is this? Not warlock. So this is adrenaline spike, right? Ugh. Adrenaline spike, yes. So adrenaline spike, I would rank C tier. No one's taking it now, and the reason is you only get any benefit once you go under 40% health. And it's like, you don't ever want to go below 40% health. Like, the whole point of the game is to stay as healthy as you can, as long as possible, while getting their health lower. That's kind of how trades work. And at the end of the day, at 40%, you're going to be one-shot by most classes, because you're not going to be at 40%. You're going to be under 40%. So let's say a Falchion, you know, probably a Morning Star, any sort of wizard spells probably just going to take you out. I'm going to say C tier, D tier, even. Don't ever take Adrenaline Spike. It's not going to be doing you any good. Advanced Healer, S tier. It's great on Warlocks. It's still great on Clerics. You need that extra healing. It doesn't really do much for any other class. I guess you can take it on Barbarian and run Potion Chugger. But with the nerfs to Warlocks, you know, it's 0.1 magic healing for every 1 magic healing that you have. So just having a +5 is already giving you half a health every time you use an ability, and that's just from 1 perk. So that's not even that bad. I think this is Warlock. They all look the fucking same, to be honest. Anti-magic, that's right. Anti-magic, S tier, 25% magic damage reduction, not including 25 magic damage reduction, not added to your stats. So if you look in your stats, you'll see, for example, I have, where is it? Magic resistance, 53% magic resistance on my cleric kit right now. But if I was to get anti-magic, this would go up to 75. This wouldn't change though. So I would have 75% magic resistance, but this wouldn't change at all. It would be 78. And right now, magic resistance is capped at 70. So this is the only way in the game that I know of to break that cap of the amount of damage you can take. So S tier all the way. It's an amazing perk. All right, Wizards Arcane Feedback. Wizard. I really should have figured that they were all in order by their name. All right, so Arcane Feedback. When you deal damage with an arcane spell, gain a stacking bonus. Grant 2% casting speed and 2% power bonus per stack for 7 seconds. This skill can be stacked up to 5 times and duration resets with each successful stack. That sounds really good, right? You get bonus spell casting speed and bonus magic power per stack. But then you remember that there's only one arcane damage dealing spell in the game, and that's called Magic Missiles. So really, this is Magic Missile Feedback. And there's just so many better things to build. If you want to build straight magic mastery or magic missiles on, you know, cleric or, you know, warlock, and you're going for that high magic missiles damage, yeah, it can be good, but that's like, I don't even think that build would be very great at the end of the day. Magic missiles is not that great of a skill. Next up, I mean, excuse me, it's a great spell, but it's not good enough to need to be enhanced. It's good as it is already. You don't need to enhance it. Just get spellcasting speed, and magic damage bonus. You don't need a perk to do that. Same thing kind of happens with Arcane Mastery. I mean, these are good if you're in these lower lobbies, and I probably should have prefaced this first. I'm talking about Giga Geared HR lobbies. I'm not talking about going into normals for most of these things. Just because it's about other players are going to be using these same perks at the top. Whereas in normals, you're probably going to be finding a lot more silly builds like the Arcane Mastery, Arcane Feedback kind of deal. Also, I mean, as you saw, I'm taking 78% reduced magic damage. This doesn't mean shit. Either of these spells don't mean shit when you're running into someone with Iron Will and Anti-Magic. You're screwed. Alright, next is Axe Mastery. Oh, I'm not gonna... It's plus 3 weapon damage. If you're running an Axe build, sure, run it. I'm gonna put it in B. I'm gonna move Ambush up to A, because I feel like it probably has a little more use cases. Whereas Axe Mastery, I'm just gonna say, like, Axe Mastery, Sword Mastery, all of those are pretty much gonna be in this B tier, but Spear Mastery might go up here. Back attack, it's going in B. It's situational. B is basically the situational thing, you know? Are you going for the ambush build and you're just going to stand and only attack them from the back? Because you're not getting any use from this other than that. Barricade, I believe this is plus 50 armor and 50 magic resist. Let me double check. 50 armor rating and 50 magic resistance. So that's huge, you know? A chest piece gives 20 magic resistance. A head gives 10. You're basically getting a whole chest and 2 chests and a helmet worth of magic resistance from just pulling up your shield. I'd say it's probably great in trios. Because you want that tanky front line, you know? A fighter or a cleric running in with this is going to be near unkillable if they have anti-magic, robust Iron Will. So it'll definitely be interesting to see if it's used. All together, it gives more defensive stats than Iron Will does. Because Iron Will gives 60 magic resistance. This gives 50 armor and 50 magic resistance. But you have to be in the defensive state. So that's the only reason why it's not an S tier perk. If it was just pull your shield out, get these stats, then you'd be good. But since it's such a specific use case, you have to have your shield out. And you're going to pull your shield out a lot. But, you know, if you have your shield out, you're trying not to take damage. So why do you need the armor and magic resistance? It's one of those things where it's like you're going against a wizard who has fireball. You're going against a barbarian who's got a war maul and he's blasting through your shield and you know you're going to get hit by something else. I don't know if you still get barricade while you're staggered by a weapon. Maybe someone in the comments can leave a little note below saying whether you do or you don't. I believe this is Carnage, Barbarian. No, Berserker. Berserker is a C tier. It's kind of just like the same Berserker that you get now. I know that, is it Skinny Pete that uses it? Someone does use Berserker. And, they're a very good Barbarian. But I don't think that it's the same exact thing as Adrenaline Rush, actually. It's just a little bit better than what Adrenaline Rush is. Because this is 15% damage, and this is 33% fizzy damage bonus. That's a lot better than 15% attack speed. I think I said 15% damage, excuse me. Alright, next up is the Blunt Weapon Mastery. And I'm going to put this in B, probably, right beside Axe Specialty. It's pretty much the same thing. If you're going to be using a Morningstar, or Flanged Mace, Club, or a War Maul, sure, go ahead, take it. You just get 10% fizzy power bonus. That's great. But all in all, it's not really as important if you're, you're never going to take it if you're just running a normal build. You're only going to take it if you're building specifically a club or blunt weapon. Brewmaster, I think Brewmaster is also going to go into B. You get an extra 10 strength along with the ale that you drink, and then you also get, along with the ale, the strength that comes with the ale, excuse me. So for example, I'm pretty sure for a blue ale, it's 4 strength. It's either 4 or 6. I want to type blue. Holy shit. Alright, so blue ales are 7 strength. So by drinking this with a blue ale, you're getting 17 strength, and you're not getting affected by that negative debuff. In fact, it becomes a buff, which is, it doesn't say that at all in this, but it's actually a huge advantage, because if you took this, for instance, with protection from evil, it would not impact the duration of Brewmaster. But let's say that you're drinking ale without Brewmaster and you have protection from evil. That's just flat 30 seconds of debuff duration that you are using from a perk, and it's negatively affecting you because the beer wears off faster. So by having it as a buff, your buff duration will scale with it, and you'll be able to actually, because clerics have pretty high will base stat. But anyways, any class can use this, and I think especially druids will end up using this for the extra 10 strength that they can get, and because that's just a lot. That's 17 fizzy power at a certain point. When it targets, next up is Carnage. When a target's killed, gains 75 armor rating for 7 seconds. D tier, and no one takes it now. No one's going to take it when multi-classing. It says target, and I'm pretty sure it applies to PvE as well as PvP. So it would be a little bit like a warlock cursing stuff before going into combat. But it only lasts for 7 seconds, and most people are trying to back away from a barbarian anyways, or any class for that. So I can't imagine there's an instance where you'll actually want this Carnage perk. I think this is Charismatic Performance, Bard. So Charismatic Performance, it's great for anything that you're doing using music. I think I'm going to put it at the top of B, because if you do decide to take music, for instance, I think most bards are still going to use Charismatic Performance. Unless they've got a super high dexterity, it's just, half a second that you're taking off each song that you're playing. And especially when you're going into combat, it means it's a huge difference between playing 2 second long Shriek of Weakness and a 1 second long Shriek of Weakness. So it's still great perk. If anyone else wants to run Bard songs and use them, mid-combat, I'd recommend it. If you're just taking a couple of self-buffs, probably not the biggest deal. Next up is Combo Attack. Combo Attack is probably going to be in B tier as well. I can imagine a rogue taking it possibly with the daggers. I mean, it's a bit of a bummer that warlocks lost that shit. But other than that, I'm pretty sure you just get a little bit of extra damage and maybe a little bit. Is it action speed too? Let's find out. Fighter. And to look this up, I'm just going on the wiki and going through each thing. So 10 fizzy power bonus, and you need 2 hits to initially proc it. So already that makes it like a little worse than I'd say these, right? Because you're getting flat damage here. This is just, after 2 hits that you already hit them with, which most weapons they're gonna be dead by then if you're hitting them with a large hitting weapon. But if you're using a dagger, I can see that there may be some use cases for it. Counterattack, when you successfully block attack, gain 10% movement speed bonus and 10% action speed for 3 seconds. I think it's, we're talking about multi-classing here, right? It's a great fighter perk. Sometimes. Like if you're using longsword or whatever. I can see if you're using longsword, it would be extremely useful, because one problem with longsword is breaking that distance between you and that other player once you finally hit that riposte. So maybe if you're going longsword, I can see it being a little bit usable, but other than that, there's just better perks, and that's really it at the end of the day. Creep, C tier. Just to give you a little idea why, I think creep is like half the distance is walking. So if each module is about 32 meters, and normal footsteps drop off at 20 meters. So if you're here and another player is here, as long as they're inside this line, they'll be able to hear you. You'll be able to hear them, excuse me. So if you're here, but if you were here and they were crouching, you wouldn't be able to hear them until you were at this endpoint of the line. So if they're moving up, you wouldn't hear them until they get to here. And then the same applies with walking. So you can do basically you literally have the distance your sound travels just by walking. You really don't need creep. Here's another little image that kind of depicts it a little bit better in a radial. So if you're standing in the middle of a 32 by 32 module, you'll be able to hear shit going on literally a module away. You'll be able to hear shit in the next module. But as soon as that person starts crouching, you can't hear them from the room anymore. Even if they're in a corner, you won't be able to hear them. If they're over here in this walkway, you'd be able to hear them if they were just running through here, but not if they're crouching. And if they're walking, you could walk from this side of the room to this side of the room and never get heard by them. You can just walk all the way around, and as long as they're not like looking at you, they'll have no idea. So I think it's extremely overrated. Creep is. I think that there's basically no reason to run creep. I'm putting it in D tier, above Campfire Mastery. Crippling Shot. Now, Crippling Shot's kind of interesting, because there are some peculiar use cases, such as, because to be a little bit more specific, Crippling Shot, Ranger. Crippling Shot uses, hitting the target's leg inflicts 40% movement speed bonus for negative 40% movement speed bonus for 1 second. And the very, very, very interesting about this is that, where's my goddamn Ranger? It doesn't just apply to projectiles, right? You can do this with anything that you want to hit them with, and it'll reduce their movement speed by 40%. So that's rapier, spear, and then we get into kind of the interesting things, like Earthquake. Earthquake, Locust Swarm. These things that are primarily AoE spells, but for instance, I'm pretty sure Earthquake affects only the target's legs. To be honest, I haven't had a full opportunity to test this, but if Earthquake stacks with Crippling Shot, that would actually be like the most broken combo in the entire world. You'd be slowing people by 90% as soon as you Earthquake. That is absurd. And I could actually see them investigating to see if that needs changes, if that is such case. But I think it might just go into B, just in case that's not how it works. I'm going to assume that it doesn't work like that, and they've thought about that, because even with Locust Swarm and just having what's it called, Faithfulness. You know, that's 15 movement speed plus another 40 movement speed. That's 55 movement speed, and he already is slow as an earthquake, and they don't have to step in it. I think it could also work for stuff like wizard fireballs and throwing knives, throwing axes. You know, who needs Achilles? You just throw a throwing axe at their leg, and they're literally slowed by 70%. That would be absurd. There would be no reason to not take it all the time. Uh, so I think actually I might move this to top of B. Is I'm just thinking about it. Would I rather take Achilles or would I rather take Crippling Shot? And I think I'd rather take Crippling Shot. Crossbow Mastery, I'm going to put this in A. I think Crossbow Mastery is great. You get 5 Fizzy Power bonus and additional 50% action speed when reloading. And the reason why I think that this is such a great thing is because on Rogue, the hand crossbow meta is great right now. And just having the 50% action speed means that, hey, look at me, I'm not building decks, you know? I don't need to build that dex anymore that I have here because I just have 50% action speed when reloading. I don't need to worry about that. I can just build movement speed and damage. So I think that this is probably going to be used basically on every rogue that you see with hand crossbows. And that's why I think it's going to be so high up here. I think that is actually better than probably ambush. I'm going to put the crippling shot up here too. Just because it will be, you will see crossbow mastery much more than you see ambush. Probably because you won't see ambush. You'll be dead. They're invis. Alright. Next is I think this is curse mastery. There's only one curse or 2 curses in the game. So it's like this kind of doesn't do shit. It's like taking treacherous roar on barbarian when you don't have any roars, you know? It doesn't do shit unless you have the right perks and skills. Curse of Pain, all that shit's already weak because Torture Mastery is weak and you're spending 3 times the amount of health and only getting 0.1 the amount of magic healing back. Next up is Dagger Mastery. Dagger Mastery, I think this is going to be a high A. I think every fighter you see is going to be running Dagger Mastery with their Rondel. I think they have absolutely no reason to not run Dagger Mastery when it's just 15% more damage on their daggers, which is a lot when it comes to that weapon. Dancing Feet, D tier. I don't think you should ever use Dancing Feet. Unless you're running the weapon, the Bard damage perk, and just using instruments, maybe with like Savage, two-hander, and then a bunch of drums and a lute. I could see that being like fun, but I can't see that being meta. Yeah. Alright, next is Dark Enhancement. 10% Dark Power bonus towards Dark Magic spells. I think the only 3 Dark Magic damage dealing things in game are 4, 5. Alright, it's Dark Bolt, Dark Beam, Dark Reflection, Kuma's Claw, Kuma's Fang. And I think those are the only 5 in-game that do dark damage. So unless you're going for a Giga Kuma's Fang, Kuma's Claw build, it's just C tier. Dark Reflection. 10 base damage, 75% scaling to their attacker. Can use soul shards to make it do more damage. I guess 10% more on top of that. Really, the only reason I'm putting it in B is because I already know Protection of Evil is going to be stocked with that, Phantomize, and Thorns, and what's the last one? Dreamwalk. And Warlocks just are never going to be touched anymore. You're literally not going to be able to touch them. They'll cast heal while they're in their Phantomize phase, or their Dreamwalk phase, and then they'll just Phantomize as soon as they get out and heal to full. So I think that will definitely be a concern. I'm pretty sure this is like defensive mastery or something like that. What is it called? I spelled fighter wrong. Fighter. Defensive mastery. Yep, 10% armor rating from equipment armor. I don't think you have any reason to build this. I'm pretty sure it only applies to base armor as well, not any shields or additional armor rating you get from rolls from bonuses. So I'm gonna put this in C tier under Dark Enhancement. Pretty sure this is Demon Lock, Warlock. Demon Armor, excuse me. So minus 10. That's so silly. Wait, look at this. Gain the ability to equip plate armor. Suffer. Who did this? Oh. I thought it was a suffer period. So suffer minus 10% casting speed. Okay. So I thought they were just saying like, now you suffer. It's great, you know. Anytime you're not doing spells on any class, basically, you're basically fine, you know. I could see some bards taking this. Bard would love this shit. I'm sure Rogue would love this shit too. It's probably, I mean, you know, if you want to go super tanky Rogue, but I could see a lot of good uses for this, and yeah, I think it's actually a decent perk. Double jump, I'm gonna be putting in B tier. If everyone has double jump, it's like no one has double jump, you know. You're still minus 10 movement speed. That's a lot better than minus 18, but that's wearing a Regal Gambison. You're just wearing a Regal Gambison and slowing yourself by 10 without any benefits from it. So I think maybe I'll put this bottom of A, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be that much better than any of the other perks. It will be good for rangers. It'll be nice to have that double jump to do those kiting, and to get to those high up places where you can't be got at yourself. But all in all, yeah, I think it'll be a decent perk. Dual wield. I'm running this on my rogue right now, so immediately I'm going to be putting in B tier. With dual wield, I'm getting 10% action speed when I'm holding a weapon in both hands, so that's just 10% action speed every time I have a weapon out. So that's great, you know, 10% action speed on reloading. I literally have 60% action speed every time I reload. So what is that? With 26% action speed plus 10%, 36 plus 60, I'm at 96.9% action speed when I'm reloading my hand crossbows. Just kind of gross, you know? Like, they're just always going to be reloaded. Yeah, so great perk, especially if you're running some sort of Slayer. I think this is the, I know what it does. It's the barbarian perk that makes your barbarian makes you, it's the barbarian. Okay. It's the perk that makes you do additional 10% damage when you hit them in the headshot. So it's good, you know. It's not as good as Axe Weapon Mastery, because, you know, this is just 3 extra damage. This is just... And 3 damage to the head is 6 damage. And most weapons that are, for instance, I think... We can check it out. I'm pretty sure a double axe is like 66, 63 damage as a legendary, right? 66. So that's literally 10% right there. It's almost 10%. It's it would be like 9 point something percent with axe mastery, axe specialization, excuse me, over executioner, which is just a flat 10% fizzy damage bonus to the head. So yeah, I think that axe specialization is quite a bit better than executioner. Faithfulness, if you're running divide damage, it's great. If you're not running divide damage, it's not so great. So I'm gonna put it in B. I'm still running on my cleric with Judgment Smite build, but I definitely think that you know, there's you know, as you can see, there's better perks out there. For Mada, now that resourcefulness gives additional skill cooldown reduction, this might not be that bad. I could see some instance where you really want to just like keep using your skills. For instance, for a wizard, I think this is just like 5% cooldown reduction on their meditate, which is not bad at all. If you're using spells though, like just 10 spell or whatever, pretty much completely useless. So even if you're using one set of spells, I can't imagine if you're not running arcane, what is it? It's not arcane, it's intense focus or meditate. I don't really know why you'd run this. It's just better things. But it's better than it used to be, at the very least, you know. Is this melt or is this fire mastery? Fire mastery. Okay, fire mastery is 5% fizzy, 5% fire power bonus. Excuse me. Duration of burns are increased by 2%, 2 seconds, and deal 2 more base damage, except for explosion spell, which gains 1 and 1. And burn the target to suffer 50% incoming fizzy and magic healing for 5 seconds. So basically, the only thing that really is that great there is burn the target to not get that much magic healing anymore. And so it's probably great in trios if you're using Fireball, or if you're a Warlock and you're using what is it called? Where you run across the ground and you burn the ground. Flame Walk, yeah. It's probably great if you're using Flame Walk and run into a team of trios, but I don't think it'll be that great otherwise. Hide Mastery, unless you're going a pickpocket build, I think it's pretty much trash. You know, what are you getting? 3 times, 2.5 times the duration of a 6-second duration, so it's like 15 seconds, and that's not very long, you know. Holy Aura, C tier. I think it's you're giving your entire team 90 additional defenses, right? It's 45 magic resistance and 45 fizzy damage reduction. So it's not bad. Maybe if you're going in a full tank team, or you really want to play that support class in the back and you're trying to get your front line a little bit tankier, it's not the worst, but I think I'm gonna put it back into C tier because it's not gonna be any better than having defensive mastery. Oh boy, we're getting real controversial here. We're on to the absolute best perk in the game. Holy Water. Allow drinking of drinks. Drinking of any of the drinks will eliminate all removable curse effects. Straight into D tier. I'm going to put that below Carnage. I'd rather have fucking 75 extra armor every time I kill an enemy than I would drink a potion and remove a curse. You already have debuff duration as a goddamn cleric. So it doesn't make any sense why you'd want this at all, especially on a cleric. Ice Mastery, straight into S tier. Anytime you ever have a Viola, you will be running Ice Mastery. You will be stupid to not run Ice Mastery. It's like having Dark Enhancement or Soul Collector for, what is it called? Kuma's Claw or Kuma's Fang, except it's like twice as good and it's always active. No one will ever get away from you, ever, when you have a Viola, because they'll always be snared the second you hit them. So I think it's obviously an S class, only because it's S, because if you have a Viola, you'll be using it, and that's basically it. When you have the best weapon in the game, what will be one of the best perks in the game? Okay, Ice Mastery. Overall, I think it's pretty unique. It's not like and it's only because Viola is such a good weapon. If you think about it, right? Why isn't Fire Mastery higher up? You know, it applies on Cinder. What would be bad about that? And it's because Cinder sucks, bro. The halberd sucks. I would take a Viola up against 2 Cinders every day. Any day of the week. 3 Cinders any day of the week. And a Viola is still better. So yeah, that's just why Ice Mastery just gets sent straight to the top. Ice Shield, S tier. I'm going to move it down to A tier, actually. I think it's great. I think a lot of people are going to use it. I think it's great on Wizards. I think it's great on Rangers, maybe. But the most of the reason it's good is when you have Protection from Evil. Protection from Evil really makes a lot of these self debuffs a lot stronger, because it removes the thing that's the cooldown. That's literally it. It's cooldown reduction at that point. So yeah, Ice Mastery, good perk. Immortal Lament, D tier. I don't think you'll ever be using Immortal Lament. There's no reason to have Immortal Lament. It's not like you're going to be casting a lot of Warlock spells till you die. Maybe if you want to, like, you know, kill the Wyvern or something and not have to heal at all, then sure, you can use Immortal Lament. Maybe that will be good. But unless you're killing the Wyvern on every class in the game using Warlock perks, it's trash. Next up, we have... Is that oh, no. This is the wrong one. Bro, what the fuck? Why would they do this? Look at this. They're the exact same. Alright, so this is it's the Infernal one, right? It's whatever it's called. Warlock. Infernal Pledge, that's what it's called. Yeah, undead race damage reduction, demon race damage reduction. What are you doing? PVMing? What kind of scrub are you? Where did it go? I lost it. Oh yeah, straight to D tier. Not great. It does absolutely nothing for you in 99% of cases. The one case where I would actually be able to see it being useful would be against the Lich, if it reduced the amount of damage that its what's it called? Curses did, the circles that go around you. If it's not that, I really think that it's kind of like a piece of shit. It's got nothing good. It's not useful at all. Iron Will, S tier, 60 magic resistance and can't be knocked back. It's just free magic resistance, you know? That's the difference between Barricade and Iron Will. Free have to use a perk. Free, have to use, like, you get this all the time. You don't have to pull out your shield. You're not going to be slowed down. You just get this for free. Because you think about it, that's one of the problems with this too. A shield costs movement speed. That's really what it costs to have a shield. And this is just free. And you don't get knocked back by fireballs or rangers. Jolly time. I could see people using Jolly time. Put it right beside its big brother, Brewmaster. If you're using Brewmaster, you might as well throw Jolly time in there, you know. You get additional movement speed, 10 additional movement speed, which is 3% movement speed. And then you also get a little bit of health back. So not as good as Brewmaster, to be honest, but still not bad. I'm actually gonna move Brewmaster below combo attack. Next up is this? Kindness. This is kindness. I didn't even need to look. Kindness is D tier. You don't want to be taking damage in the first place. The one time I can see kindness being good is if you use it alongside, and forgive me for actually not knowing anything about this. I fucking hate Druid. Where is it? Spirit Bond. Once every 1 second, you will receive 15% of damage received by party members. Instead, can receive damage up to 20 damage. So basically, you're just taking 15% of damage from your enemies, right? If you use that alongside kindness, maybe I can see it being used. Maybe it's a little bit weird and kindness like applies to dots. That would be really interesting to see if maybe you can get 2 dots at the same time, and that will proc your what is it called? What's the other perk called? That's damage. Force of nature, right? So maybe it does proc Force of Nature for you and your ally at the same time with just one spell, and you're healing yourself at the same time. It's still just 15%. You're really not getting all that much healing from kindness at all. 15% is not that much. But I think this will apply to druids. So that is kind of interesting, and for that fact alone, where'd it go? God, I'm blind. It's gone. It's just gone. Alright, we will run. Oh, here it is. Okay. For that fact alone, I'm going to put it in C tier. I think it will be interesting to see what druids do with it. Yeah. I think that will be pretty interesting. I'll have to investigate. So right now, the 2 things I really want to see investigated are crippling shot and kindness. Alright, now we're on to Rangers Kinesthesia. So Kinesthesia is a okay perk. It gives you a movement speed multiplier of 110%. When moving with the bowstring drawn, receive a movement speed multiplier. Oh, so it just makes you 10% faster. What the fuck? Why is it so confusing? 10% faster when you have the bow out. I want to double check and make sure that the wiki is properly updated. Perk and skill. Kinesthesia. Yep. 10%. So you get 30 movement speed when you have your bow drawn. That's not bad at all. The only problem is, multi-classing is one of those rare times where range and ranger becomes melee and melee. Like, you actually want to get in close with people. You're faster, you have more health, you have more armor, you have more damage. So in all instances, You want to be a little bit closer to people. Do I think it's a good perk? Yes. All in all, I think it's great. I think I'll be putting it in B tier. Probably around weapon specialization. Now we're into the good shit. Protection from evil, S. If there was like an S++, I'd put it up there. I think protection from evil is one of the best perks because it enables other perks like ice shield, like Dreamwalk to be such good perks, because at the end of the day, you're just getting it 30% faster. It's 30% cooldown reduction, which is super good. And I think it also applies to Dark Reflection. So you take Protection from Evil, Ice Mastery, Dark Reflection, and Dreamwalk, and you'd be basically invulnerable at all times. Because by the time you Dreamwalk, you Phantomize, by the time you get out of Phantomize, your Dreamwalk's definitely going to be back, guaranteed. This is plus 10% will. You know, at 50 will, you're getting 5 will. Whoop-de-doo. That's not that much. 5 fizzy power bonus for 1 perk. No, it's just not good. Like, it's not that great. If it was something like, 15%, maybe it could be better. But I'm putting it right about where arcane spells go. What is this? I think this is a warlock. Is this? No. What is this? What the fuck? I actually have no clue what perk that is. It can only really be Warlock or Wizard, right? Not anti-magic, is it? No. Am I crazy? It's definitely not a skill. A spell skill. I must be crazy. Where's my wizard? It's gotta be wizard, right? Yes, Mana Surge. What the fuck? Why is this Mana Surge? What an awful looking. 10% magic damage bonus. It's just better than... It's literally 5% more than Malice. I'm putting it in B tier. It's not bad. It's probably just as good as Axe Special. Yeah, it's Axe Specialization or Blunt Weapon Mastery, but for wizards. That's literally it. Next is... I think that's Superior Dexterity. Right? Isn't that what it's called? Superior Dexterity. No, that's Superior Dexterity. Lore Mastery. Lore Mastery, 25% regular interaction speed, D tier. What are you using regular interaction speed for? Unless you're going Pickpocket. In that case, S tier. Like, I could make a whole Pickpocket build, right? You just use this, Pickpocket, probably Song of Shadow, Ambush. Or, we probably don't need Ambush, just Hide. Invis Mastery. It'd be interesting if this applied to all Invises. I actually don't know if it does. I've never tested if Hide Mastery affects all Invises or just the Invis that is Hide. Let's see. Does it say? Increase duration of the Hide skill. Okay, so it's just Hide that this applies to. So yeah, pretty trash. Melodic defenses. This is 30% MDR and PDR when you're playing music. Like I said, you can go ahead and do dancing feet. This is really just like niche build, right? Niche build. So I don't think that these are ever really worth taking. Melt, 10% fizzy damage reduction on when you're attacking. I think it's good. This is better for Cinder than Fire Mastery is, honestly. Use this makes the Cinder burn 2 seconds longer, and you get an extra 2 damage on each second of burn. This makes your next attack do 10% damage reduction. I guess it's not that great because armor. I wonder, is it flat or is it scaling like normal armor pen is? Minus 10% fizzy damage reduction. Okay, so it is just a flat 10%. So it would be good for Cinder. Other than that, I don't know how great it would be. I'm going to put it up here with Weapon Mastery. Axe Specialization up here. So I do think it is, if I was going to build a Cinder, I would probably take this. Maybe. This is morale boost or no. It's I don't care what the name is, honestly. You get 12% max health back when you kill an enemy. It's only an enemy. It's not a PVM like Carnage is. So I'm going to put it right beside Carnage. Not that great. I think this is Kinesthesia, right? Or was the other one Kinesthesia and this one's Quick Draw? Or Quick Draw the perk or skill? Nimble Hands. Nimble Hands, when using a bow, increase action speed 15%. You know, 15% action speed anytime you have a bow. Not bad. If you are going a bow build, I'm going to put this right beside all the weapon mastery. You know, it's good. It's just as good if you're going to build bow build as if you're going one of these weapons. Torture mastery. It's not bad. The meta before was cleric with 10 spells. Personally, for me, this is what I was doing last wipe during multi-classing. Cleric with 10 spells with Hydra and a bunch of magic healing and both curses. Power of Sacrifice and Curse of Pain. And it was working great. I had a great time. I had a lot of fun. So, yeah, I think it's usable. It's great. It's perfect. Just the way it is. It did get nerfed a lot, so we're probably going to see a lot less of those builds. I might put it down here. Above Faithfulness, because I do think that this is... we'll put it in A. This is the basis of a build. You'll go Torture Mastery if you want to go Curses, and you're going to build around those Curses. You're not going to be building around something else. So, I think Torture Mastery in A is perfectly fine. Perseverance, I'm going to put an A2. It used to be an S. Definitely used to be a lot better. Now, I mean, it was 33% better before, you know? If you had 70% PDR and someone's hitting you for 100 damage and you're only taking 30 damage, instead of taking 30 damage, you'd be taking 27 damage. And that's literally 10% of the damage you were taking. Now you're taking 28 damage. And that's like an additional 3.33% damage that you're taking from that 100 damage shot. So, you know, still good. It's probably even better against daggers, but since daggers have such high armor pen, I think that it's a lot less valuable than it once was as a perk. Still great though. Still great. If you're going PDR, I'd rather go this than Barricade, to be honest. Because this is flat, free. Like we had the discussion with Iron Will. You know, you're getting more defenses out of this, but you also have to have a shield. And that costs movement speed. This doesn't cost movement speed. This doesn't cost movement speed. So, it's just, for that reason, better. Pickpocket Mastery. Go with your brothers. Lore Mastery, or whatever. And Invis Hide Mastery. All right. Next up is poison weapons. Poison weapons, I'm pretty sure they made a change that made it so poison weapons no longer applies on ranged weapons. Oh, I lied. I'm pretty sure it does apply on ranged weapons. But it does not apply on spells anymore. The meta previously was to use magic missiles on your weapon, on your poison weapon, and then you'd be able to specifically have, put 5 stacks on someone almost instantly with it. And now, since I believe it might be non-rogue weapons can't use weapon mastery at all, but in the case that it isn't, I think that it would be an A. I think it goes great with pestilence. I think it goes great with survival bows. You know, you get the hybrid damage that you would want from something like smite out of just a perk, and I think that's pretty useful without a cooldown. Is this potion chugger? I believe so. I don't think there's something else though. What was this? Poison weapon, potion chugger. Perfect. What are we gonna do with you? I think potion chugger is great. I think if you've ever watched any of Frog's videos, he features it in quite a few. I think it's a great perk. I think you get a lot of uses out of it. I think it gives you a lot of health back. Almost like if you in duos especially, you don't even need a healer as a teammate. You'll just be healing yourself so much with Troll's Blood and a healing potion. Projectile mastery, whatever. Projectile something. You get 10% increased projectile damage reduction. And this applies to spells as well as arrows. So ice bolts, magic missiles, all that stuff is minus 10%. But it does nothing other than that. I'm going to put it in C tier. I can see you using it if you wanted to if let's say that rangers or wizards are just super strong this next week and you're just getting shit on by rangers and wizards every single game. Sure, roll for it. Go for it. It might do something. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Iron Will, you know? I'd rather have anti-magic. I'd rather have all these other perks than projectile damage reduction. I believe this is quick chant, 20% cast speed, unless they changed it. Wizard. Quick chant, yes. 15%. Okay, 15% cast speed. It literally negates everything about demon armor. I think if you're running spells, you're probably going to be using this. I'm going to be putting it, because, like, think about it. 15% on all your lesser heals, your sanctuaries, your resurrections, your hydras from warlocks, your curses from warlocks. I think it's great. I think it is a wonderful perk that if you're using spells, you might as well go for it. Next up is quick draw, 50% action speed when reloading a bow type weapon, I believe, is the words. I would put this in C. I think that I'll put it in B. I think that if you're running, same as these, if you're running ranged weapons, go ahead. But all in all, you can probably get that action speed somewhere else. It's kind of just as good as crossbow mastery, so I might be shooting myself in the foot with a bow and arrow, but I will go ahead and put it in line with these other ranger perks. I'm just going to put these ranger perks all around the same, because I could see you picking between one or the other depending on your needs. Yeah. Ranged weapon mastery, I think this is 5% fizzy power bonus on any ranged weapon. 5% really isn't that much. 5 strength is literally 5%. You can get that from a padded tunic or from a ring, an epic ring with 2 strength on it. It's not that hard to get 5% fizzy power bonus. and I think that it would be better off to get something, honestly, one of these three for survivability and utility than just additional damage. Rapier Mastery, I think it is high A. I'm going to put it beside Quick Chat. I think Rapier Mastery is a little bit better than these two, just because Rapier is such a good weapon in general. Um, you see fighters running it, you'll see bards running it, you'll see rogues running it, you'll see most, like, it's basically a standard on bard. So I wouldn't understand why it's not a standard on these other classes, which do like using a rapier. Probably won't see it on any rangers, but I personally have in fact used weapon mastery, crystal ball, rapier, smite, and that works great. That's a great set. It's a great build for cleric, because then you can also just cast any weapon. You can cast what is it? Um, what are they called? Divine Strike or Divine Blade or something like that. What is it called? Divine Strike and Bloodstained Blade, and that's just plus 10 weapon damage straight up. And you didn't even have to switch weapons to do it. So Rapier Mastery, great. I think Rapier Mastery is a great perk. I'm gonna put it here in A because I think A is kind of like the perks you build around, right? If you're going to be building this really heavy shield fighter, then you do the really heavy shield fighter. If you're gonna be building to, or I guess they may be, they may be used to ensnare an enemy, such as this, slow them down. So utility or just not as good as S tier, I guess, is a better way to put it. Yeah, I think Rapier Mastery is great. Reactive Shield, B tier. I think Reactive Shield is not that great. It's good with protection from evil. A lot better than it normally is, but it's still not as good as the other perks you can get, like Ice Mastery. I think you'd prefer to have Ice Mastery over Reactive Shield in most cases. This is some useless Bard perk. What is this Bard perk called? Reinforced Instrument. Just kidding. The only good instrument perk, which is still going in D tier. If you I could definitely see a barbarian with 50 strength and a drum and a lute, and all they're doing is smacking people with them and using like two-hander and savage and just running around smacking people with instruments. Totally could. But will that ever be meta? No. This is Requiem. Give your allies 50% max health when you revive them. I don't think it's very good. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it down here in D tier. It's not a very good perk in general, and it's not a better perk in multi-classing. Sage plus 10% knowledge. Good on 10 spells. You get extra spell casting speed. You get extra knowledge. It's great. If you want to hit that soft cap of like 42 or 43 knowledge, it's pretty useful. Savage plus 10% fizzy damage bonus when you're running as a barbarian. Oh, when you don't have a chest piece. Excuse me. I think it's good. I think it's great for rangers. I've definitely seen a lot of rangers in the past not wearing a chest piece and just running around. So I could definitely see a ranger picking this up and say, because think about it, right? 5% fizzy damage bonus, 10% fizzy damage bonus, and I guess you don't get to wear a chest piece, quote unquote, but rangers don't like wearing chest pieces anyways. So I might as well put this with the other Ranger perks. You know, Ranger's a B tier class, so give it some B tier perks. Shadow Touch. If you want to go learn Troll or Cyclops, I think this is great. You know, if you're a PVM, Timmy, go ahead, take this. Go learn how to do some stuff. You really don't want to get hit by anything. 2 health per hit will save you 1 in 20 fights, you know. And the additional 2 damage per hit, if you hit them twice, that's 4 damage, you know. You're not really getting that much out of it. It doesn't scale. It was good with Warlock because they didn't really have any other options when they were using their Chris Dagger. It's not that great, all in all. We're going to put this with the weapon masteries. I think it's about good as these 2 weapon masteries. Headshot with a ranged weapon, I'm going to put it at the bottom of B. If you're really good at shooting your shots, I think it's 15% fizzy damage bonus. If you're not really good at shooting your shots, it's not that great. It's kind of just like the axe one, where you kill people with your axe. Do 10% more damage if you hit them in the head. I think, what's this next one? Is this counterattack? No, counterattack starts with a C. This is Shield Mastery. Shield Mastery. Gain, while in defensive stance, 10% movement speed bonus when you successfully block attack. Gain 50% action speed till your next attack. So, basically A tier. It's better than Barricade. I'll put it right here. And the reason is because on a longsword, if you're playing any class and using a longsword, you do get that 50% action speed when you hit a riposte, which can catch people off guard and is nigh unblockable with most shields and weapons in the game. So I think that if you're running longsword, you should be taking Shield Mastery, just unquestionably. Slayer, I'm going to put in A tier. I think it's a little bit better than dual wield. You get 5 fizzy weapon damage. And let's check something out. Rogue, look at that. I don't have any plate armor. Bard, oh, look at that. No plate armor. Ranger, no plate armor. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so because I don't wear plate armor anyways, this isn't a, negative to me. I just get Slayer. I just get an additional 5 weapon damage, especially when it comes to rogues and their daggers. That's huge to get plus 5 weapon damage. I remember with a Castilian, I was doing something like 196 damage is the amount of damage I was doing with a purple Castilian with a like full damage build. It might have been a legendary Castilian, but still, that's an absolutely absurd amount of damage on the 3rd hit of a Castilian. Given it's been nerfed by, I think, 25% now, and a whole bunch of other changes have happened. But I still think Slayer is great when it comes to any class that isn't fighter. Crush. I think I'll still be running Crush on my Barbarian. I think Crush is a great perk. Crush, you can actually crush doors with longbows and crossbows, if I remember correctly. They may have possibly changed that, but I do remember at one point in time you were able to crush doors with the higher power bows. I think Morningstar can also crush doors too. Yeah. So, great perk. Soul Collector, I'm going to put it in B. If you're going Demon Form, it's A. Actually, I'll leave it an A. If you're going Demon Form, take it. If you're not going Demon Form, really don't, just stay away from it. Maybe you can try Meme Beam, But other than that, it's not really going to be doing anything for you. I can see the reason why I'm leaving it here instead of putting it in D with these other kind of situational is I can see demon form being super strong. I can understand that barbarians might take it, or rogues with their fast attacking daggers. You know, I'd rather use a Rondell with a demon than a Chris with a demon, to be honest. So I think that it will be very interesting to see if we see any cool demon builds this wipe. Next up, Spear Mastery. Spear Mastery sits above the rest, and this is because having a spear on a class like a rogue is really good. Being able to have that space, like it's good on druid and it's good on ranger for the exact same reason. You have range, you can space yourself very well against these enemies. So as a rogue, when you have the opportunity to use, I don't know, tumble and spear, it's not a bad combination. I think that I saw some clerics using spear, and I definitely think I know that barbarians were liking spear as well, because you get a longer range than a Zweihander, and you get more damage out of it too, I'm pretty sure. How much is a purple spear? Or a legendary spear? Spear. 46. Okay. Never mind. You're getting about 20 less damage. 10 less damage than a Zweihander, but 20 less damage than a double axe. But you are gaining some range, and you are, I think, faster. Zweihander minus 40. How much is a spear? You have a spear? I don't want to go look in the shop again. Fuck. Alright. Let's see. How about you, squad? You have a spear for me to check out? You Alright. Anyways, I think Spear Mastery stands above the rest. I can definitely see a lot more classes building Spear casually than I can see building an axe or a blunt weapon. Memory Overload, I think, is A tier, or possibly even S tier. They did try to give you back some of the perks, and the reason it's S is you get 3 Sanctuaries, 6 Lesser Heals, 4 Holy Lights, not to mention all the Druid spells. I didn't even think about that. There's some Druid spells. You'll probably get back to, you get 3 Treants, 4 Walls, 6 Dream, or whatever, Dream Fires, I think it is, something like that. So I think it's S tier. I think we'll see a lot of 10 spell builds in these different magic casting classes, and they'll be going to grab Overload. And I just want to, it's been a while. I've been talking about this shit for a while. I think that the classes are all good, but I do think that I'm talking about it very generalized. I'm not just talking, this isn't solos only, this isn't duos only, this isn't trios only. I'm talking every class in the game, every perk in the game. I'm being very generalized and with every sort of combat. Staff Mastery, A tier. Maybe you're going a Smite Cleric build. It's good. It's good. It's better than these two. If I would say that these masteries hold up to this. I know that both of these got nerfed recently, but I can still understand why people would run them. You're building a magic staff anyways on a cleric. What is this one? You get 10 steps to walk if you're using hide. I'm just gonna put this down with lockpick. It's okay, but you got a lot of other choices. Storyteller. If you're going triple wizard, it's good. If you're not going triple wizard, it's bad. Or triple will knowledge needing classes. That's basically it. Spirit or dexterity, underrated for sure.
You get additional attack speed. Excuse me. You just get additional action speed. You pull up your weapons, your shields, your franny axes, your potions, all of that. You pull it out 15% faster, I think it is. 50 or is it 30? I think it's 30. I think you actually get 30% action speed when you're swapping between items. So that's not bad. I think I would actually put this above resourcefulness. Above Fermata. I don't know why this is so low. I didn't move it. I think that this is probably as good as Storyteller. Storyteller, what? You're getting 3, 6, 9, 12, 18? Wow, you're getting a lot from the Storyteller. Alright, I think that it goes right about here. I think it's fine. Swift, 30% less impact of negative movement speed reduction on armors. I think that maybe if you're going a mega tank, it could be okay, but everyone's just gonna have sprint now. You know, everyone's gonna be able to make themselves pretty fast. In solos, yeah, it might actually be decent, so I'm gonna leave it here in B. Yeah, I'll put it right about with. I'll put it down here. I think this is just about as good as combo attack. That's fine. Being swift is good, but not great, if that makes any sense. Sword mastery, you know, you can stack it with the other weapon masteries. You want to use a long sword, you should probably be using sword mastery 2. So put it with the other weapon masteries. It's very specific to the weapon that you're using. What is this called? Thrust. It's called Thrust. Thrust, additional armor pen when using daggers. I could see, you know, the fighters that are using Rondell right now using it. I'm not going to be using Thrust over Slayer, Dual Wield, Dagger Mastery, Ambush, is basically what I'm trying to say. So, I think Thrust probably a little bit worse than these weapon masteries. Did I get them wrong? Is this Torture Mastery? Yeah, this is definitely Torture Mastery. What the fuck did I say before then? If this isn't Torture Mastery, this is... Yes, Torture Mastery is going back up, where I gave my great explanation before of why Torture Mastery is wonderful. And I will have to figure out what the fuck spell perk that is. Barbarian. This is not morale boost. It's got to be a fighter perk. I'm going insane. They'll tell me it's a cleric perk. Overhealing. Overhealing is wonderful. Fuck. I put this in the completely wrong spot. Actually, perfect spot. Overhealing, wonderful. Goes right beside Torture Mastery. Didn't make a fucking difference. The reason why overhealing is so good is because it works with Torture Mastery. You can get overhealing from Torture Master. You can get overhealing from Potion Chugger. You can get overhealing from Cleric spells. All of these are great ways to proc overhealing, and I think overhealing just gives you, what, 20% more health? That's as good as Robust. What the fuck? Robust is literally, I just said it, 20% more health. It's great. You get plus, I think, 23 health base on most classes. Not exactly sure how much it is, but I think it's about 23% health from your base class, which is pretty sizable all in all. That's, you know, it takes 2 items, chest and legs, give you 12 health. You know, it takes almost 4 chest pieces to make one of these. So I think, yeah, it's great. Chase, I think Chase is super strong. You get to see where other people have been. You get to hear other people a little bit better. I do not know how Chase applies to this wheel. I probably think that you can hear them +1. So you can probably hear walking from green from here. And that would be really strong. I think people underrate how strong audio cues are in Dark and Darker. Trap Mastery, unless you're a ranger, you can't use traps anyways. I'm pretty sure even with multi-classing, ranger remains the only class that can use traps. So, D tier. Traps and locks. And we're going to put this right beside all these other useless rogue perks for multi-classing. You know, you want to go pick lock, you know, good for you. Treacherous Lungs. I think that this is as good as Curse Mastery. You know, if you're running, you know, roars, maybe you want to take it. But I think most of the time, you're not. I think most of the time, you don't want to run this. I think most of the time, you got a lot of other better shit. Two-hander. B tier. It works with bows. It works with instruments. So I think it's great. I think it's good. I think it may even... I don't know if it works for Francesca axes or pickaxes, but I know for sure it works for bows. So that's just 5 fizzy power bonus for doing nothing. Kind of like this one. You can see why they are right beside each other. Undead Slaying. Are you going to go kill a boss? Is that the only reason you're in the dungeon? Yes? Okay, good. If not, there's realistically no reason to take this. You don't need it. Unless you're trying to PVM a little faster. Vampirism, it's great. Goes great with Advanced Healer. Good for Clerics. Good for if you are building that Potion Chugger build. Or it's good for Warlocks. So, yeah, good all around. Wanderer's Luck. Hey, every class in the game can now get 500 luck, right? Right? That's pretty useful. War Song. I think there's just... You get, what, 5, 6 fizzy power bonus? How much is it? Is it 5 or 6? War Song is 3 weapon damage. Okay. So, I'm just going to put it right here. It's not even as good because you have to play a song. You have to have music to use it. I guess you will be playing music whenever you do use it. But would you rather have you plus 3 weapon damage when you're playing after you finish playing music? Or would you rather have plus 2 weapon damage or plus 5 weapon damage, you know? It's like, you don't need to have this. So I'm going to put it right here with all the weapon masteries. We're going to put it behind all the ranger ones. Next is weapon mastery, S tier. I think so many classes can benefit from weapon mastery. Barbarians get bows, you know. Rangers get any other thing in the game they want. You know, if you want to go daggers on a class, you can. If you want to go bows on a class, you can. If you want to go a rapier on and crystal ball, I think crystal ball cleric is one of my. I'm a little biased because I think that's one of the best use cases for this. Well, crystal ball on cleric is such an advantage that is so underrated, and I don't understand why more people don't push for an offhand weapon for or spellcasting weapon for cleric. The benefit is I don't need my dexterity is shit. No matter what I do, my dexterity is always going to be shit. And if it is good, then all my other spellcasting is going to be shit. So, if I can have my weapon and my spellcasting out at the same time, pre-buffs aren't no longer pre-buffs. They're just buffs. All I do is buff and walk in. I don't buff, change my weapon, lose 5 seconds of cooldown opening the door, and then walk in. I open the door, I buff while I'm walking through the door, and I start swinging. I think it's great. You're going to see a lot of people using weapon mastery. This is Thorns. I think Thorns is probably, I'm just going to find Dark Reflection and put it right beside that. Probably just as good. You know, you do some damage back to your enemy when they hit you. That's great. A little bit of DPS. You know, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be hit. That's the whole thing. You don't want to be hit. So probably go good with the Phantom Eyes and Dreamwalk build. But other than that, I don't think it's really that meaningful. I actually need to have the Druid class open because I don't know what the fuck these perks are called. Druid. Enhance Wildlife. While in animal form, gain 5 movement speed and 10 armor rating. Oh, I did it backwards. Alright, let's start from the bottom then. Spirit Magic Mastery. When you cast Spirit Magic, gain 10% magic power. I think druids are the only ones that use Spirit Magic, so this is probably going in C tier. We'll go ahead and put it like above this. Kind of makes sense. Sun and Moon. Nearby allies gain 3 vigor and 5 magic power. 5 magic power is as good as these other 5%, you know? 5%. That's what these are giving. 5% damage, 5% damage. You also get a little bit of vigor. It's really not a big deal. Spirit Bond, maybe it's good if all 3 allies have Spirit Bond, and maybe you're just all using Spirit Bond to share the damage. But I don't know how pre-mitigation the damage is mitigated, if it's pre-mitigated or post-mitigated. Altogether, just seems like a waste of time. There might be some cool interactions, but I don't think it's going to be good for anything. Shapeshift Mastery is A tier. I think that if you are going to be using one of the Druid forms, you're going to be using Shapeshift Mastery. And at the end of the day, you just need Human and one other form, and then you got your Shapeshift. But unless you're going Shapeshift Mastery, I really don't think that many people are going to be using it. Plus, like, think about Druid, right? You have Chicken, Panther, Jump. You have the Rat, Hide, and then you have a Bear. You kind of need all 4 of them to do anything. It's not like Warlock where you're so limited by your options that everything you could do is good. It's more like you're have so many options that they had to evenly disperse the power between each. So maybe I'll pop this down to top of B, but I think it's fine in A. Natural Healing. Heal yourself for 1 magic healing, 10% scaling every 3 seconds. So you heal yourself and your allies. Kind of shit. It's not that great. You heal yourself, you heal your allies by like 1. That's it. And you get a aura around you, which shows you where you are. So it's almost as bad as Holy Aura. If this didn't have an aura around it, Meepo would probably run it a little bit more. Trash. Detect nearby herbs. Force of Nature, I could see this being pretty good. Not A tier. You get, what, 3 fizzy power. So, worse than these. But, you do get 3 fizzy power, you know. That's fine. The reason it's good is in solos, you can drink a potion and just get 3 fizzy power. But 3 fizzy power just kind of sucks, so I'm putting it down here. While in animal form, gain 5 movement speed and 10 armor rating. I think that's C tier. Most druid perks are kind of fucking bad, so it'll be very interesting to see how it ends up following these changes. I think Dreamwalk is A tier. I think I'm going to put it beside Ice Shield. The benefit to Dreamwalk is you will basically, unless they one-tap you, you will always have a fighting chance. Also, as I almost S tier. If you're a wizard or a warlock or a cleric and you need to get those clutch heals in, you've got them. Or those clutch damage spells in, whatever. You've got it. You're invincible. You can't be touched. If you need to heal, you can heal. If you have enough cast speed to heal full health while you're in Dreamwalk, you definitely have that option. So, yeah. I guess that is the tier list that we're looking at here. I'm going to take a quick gander, and I know I have an extra faithfulness down here, so I'll just throw it in here with D tier and make it look all pretty. That would be my tier list for multi-classing for all the perks in the game for the final week of this wipe. I guess that's it. See ya.